We're not going on the bus this morning. We're just putting all our stuff on the bus because we're walking through the old city today. Everybody's gathering. We're going to walk through to the Holy Sepulchre, do a tour, give people time to pray, then to the Western Wall, then to the city of David, Orpho Ridge. We're going to see a movie and talk about David's kingdom, and then to lunch, and then to St. Stephen's for Mass. And there's our fearless leader. And the second fearless leader. There's the dung gate right over there. Half our folks went already across. We're going to be the second group to go across. There comes the light rail. That's one of the reasons the light is red. The troops. Here come the troops.
I will not take the ramp.
Most of what you see today is what we inherited actually from the last set of restrictions that were put on the Crusaders in the 12th century after the
Calvary is up there, and this is the embalming stone where Jesus was prepared for burial. Our people are now venerating that. And then right around the corner here is the tomb, and already lining up to get in. But we did all that on Holy Land Part 1. But there's the tomb, empty tomb, I should say. There's the tomb, and there's already a long line of people going in. And here's our group. Amar's explaining we're doing a little tour of the Holy Sepulchre and the whole church here. And then we're going to head out and go see the walls from the first century. Up the stairs to the top of Calvary to venerate the place where the cross stood.
Hi, Kathy Oberhall and class from Catechism of St. Alfred's and Taylor. Greetings from the Holy Sepulchre Church in Jerusalem.
that he built
44
the
AD.
third wall around the city, and he doubled the size of the city. So this becomes inside the walls, meaning the Holy Sepulchre is inside the walls. But if you were to go now back out the same way we came in, you'll be going through an arch gate. That's the gate that they're trying to show over here.
A picture of what I've been talking about. The original city walls are here, and that's what we're looking at right now. And they would have taken Jesus out through this gate and up there to where Calvary was, which is today where the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is. So there you see it was outside the city walls where Jesus was crucified. Protestants have a place called the Garden Tomb, which they claim is Jesus' place of crucifixion and burial and resurrection, because it's outside the city walls of today. But the Holy Sepulchre was in the first century outside the city walls, and this shows it because this is the walls of the city at Jesus' time, and the Holy Sepulchre now would have been outside of the current of those walls. You would have been going outside of Jerusalem, and that's where the Holy Sepulchre is today. In 44 AD, King Herod Agrippa built the new walls which encompassed the Holy Sepulchre. Quarter night and day difference from where we were earlier. Nice place here, modern, clean. These walls were built over 2,600 years ago by Hezekiah, and look at these are the remains of them, about 8 feet thick. We went out the dung gate, and I noticed the hill of corruption, the Mount of Evil Counsel, where Solomon built altars to the foreign gods for his wives. We left the dung gate right up there. We came down around. Now we're all walking down to the city of David, which is right there. That's our next destination. We then entered the city of David. It's a national park, and it was an amazing sight showing the time from David and Solomon and Hezekiah. You are here. We're at this national park, Orphan Ridge, city of David. This is the original city of David. Just this little finger was about 9 to 10 acres in size, and down here is the pool of Siloam. Two illustrations of what the city of David looked like during his time, very small. We're going down lots of stairs all down a worn shaft. This is worn shaft. It goes way, way down there. We're watching a movie here down in a worn shaft and the Canaanite pools underneath near the springs of Gihon. And there you see the water flowing. Two tunnels here. We can take the dry tunnel, which we're doing, or if we went there, we end up in Hezekiah's tunnel, which is up to your waist in water, and it's pitch dark. So we're going into the tunnel. Very narrow tunnel here. We're going to go quite a ways before we get to the pools of Siloam. We're now arriving at the pool of Siloam, which we read about in John chapter 9, where Jesus healed the blind man. Arrived at the pool of Siloam. You can see the steps going down, and over there, those steps going down, that part right there was in the water. So it's a big, huge rectangular pool, and they only discovered this about 10 years ago. It wasn't here when we first started coming. After Pool of Siloam, here we all are waiting for the bus to take us up through Siloam, the city named after Siloam, and past the Dung Gate again. And now we're going to lunch, but we're not going to be going to McDonald's. We're going to Ramat Rachel, a kibbutz. This is the American embassy that Trump moved to Jerusalem. Everyone wanted to see it, so we drove past it. Here we are. We're going to have lunch at Ramat Rachel Hotel, which is a kibbutz, but if you want to read it in Hebrew, here we go. Ramat Rachel Hotel. Here we go. We arrived here for dinner, lunch at Ramat Rachel. Nice food here, buffet lines, and then wonderful salads, great salads, desserts, drinks. And then we all sit right out here, outside the windows, Bethlehem. Nice lunch at the Ramat Rachel kibbutz. We went back to the Notre Dame for an hour and a half to regroup before we went to Mass at St. Stephen's. So we just got off the bus there, went across the crosswalk, and now we're heading to Mass here at St. Stephen's. Stephen's Church, the place of his martyrdom. Princess Eudokia built this church to commemorate it, and there is Stephen there looking up to heaven. The way they stoned people back in those days is they would take them to a quarry. And you could see this in our Paul movie. I did it with a big watermelon. I had a big watermelon that was Stephen, and I showed how they stoned. The way they would do it is take them to a quarry. The man or the men who are in charge of the charges against them, the main witnesses, go up about 10 or 12 feet high with the victim down below. They take a big rock. They throw the first rock. Remember Jesus said, whoever's without sin cast the first stone? Well, that was what he's referring to. Whoever's the one charging, they take that big stone and they throw it down 10 feet and they hit that guy with a stone. When I did it, I had a watermelon, and we do it in slow motion. I threw that and that rock went, and the watermelon went kerploosh. Then everybody else, if he's not dead by that time, everybody else casts aside their robes, they grab rocks, and they finish the job. That would be a horrible way to die. Can you imagine a rock crashing into your head, breaking your ribs, every other part of your body? Paul, one time in Lystra, it said they took him outside the city and they stoned him and left him for dead. Paul got back up out of that pile of stones and walked back into the city. You talk about a courageous, tough guy. I think that he was probably dead because they knew when someone was dead from stoning. My contention is that God probably rose him from the dead and he came right back into the city, and they must have been shocked by that. Now, when I was in Rome one time, I saw that in the chapel, in the Church of St. Paul, outside the walls where his bones are, that there was inside there a chapel to St. Stephen, and then Stephen is standing there praying. And I thought to myself, why would they have a chapel of St. Stephen in the Church of St. Paul's bones? And I remember what Augustine had said. Augustine said, if it were not for the prayers of St. Stephen, the church would not have had St. Paul. Chapel here to St. Paul because Saul of Tarsus was here when Stephen was stoned, and now he has an altar inside the Church of St. Stephen where that execution took place. After our nice Mass at St. Stephen's, we went back about 10 minutes to the hotel, and everybody had the rest of the day free for dinner. Some went back to the Holy Sepulchre to pray. So good night, everyone. See you tomorrow.